Okay, well, technologically speaking, when you started getting into, working with the singers and pop records and whatnot, that's before the technology shifted to all this splitting off that they have now. In other words, you were in with some of these people in the beginning, right in the room with some of them.
Oh, yeah.
Barbara Streisand, you recorded with her?
Yeah.
Right, and I don't know when the shift came off that,
Sinatra,
people.
yeah.
Sinatra, right?
So you did a record with Sinatra?
Yeah.
And so he was in there with you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, you do it
Live, right?
live.
yeah, right.
That's great.
Yeah.
And
That's
nowadays you have people on records that never met each other.
Yeah.
They're just edited
the
together.
Tracking, yeah.
Yeah.
And it used to be, you'd have to play it right the first time,
Yeah.
And then
Couldn't
the
fix it.
tracking came in, and the guys, they knew they had a second chance, they could overdub the part, or,
And it,
if
with
there's
pitch
a clam,
with pitch correction,
if there's a clam, it's like, it doesn't matter.
yeah.
Right.
But the early recording studio work, I mean, you had to,
What
you had to perform,
what Sinatra record were you on? Do you recall what
I don't
album?
remember what it was.
Okay,
I don't
all right.
remember. But there were a lot of pop artists.
I should have gotten that off the internet because there was a listing of a lot of the pop records that you were on. But who was it with Nat Adderley Jr.? What singer was he?
Luther Vandross.
It was Luther. Okay.
Yeah. I
He
remember
was
that
doing
was
the
a-
arrangements with that.
Yeah, that was a recording of a tune, Carol Carpenter tune called Superstar.
Okay.
And the way he arranged that, I didn't even recognize the song until later.
Karen Carpenter.
Carol Carpenter.
Kara Carpenter. I'm sorry. And so again, you were going in there live at a certain point. Did you continue to do the recordings when it got all with the tracking and separated, where you didn't even see the people? You did a lot of that too.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times the string section would be later,
Right.
And there's so much variety of recording going on, industrial shows,
Right.
soap operas, did a lot of soap operas.
And then those live performances with Elliot Lawrence and
Yeah.
all those
Some live-
award shows
Yeah,
with him.
live award shows. We did a big show at Carnegie Hall, Irving Berlin 100th birthday TV show. That's on YouTube. And there's a lot of Broadway stuff, but we got to play with Ray Charles, Billy Eckstein, Joe Williams.
Nice.
You mean during the Irving tribute?
Yeah, on that show.
Nice.
Diane Shore.
So this is like 1987.
80, I think it was around 88.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
Anyhow,
great.
that was quite a big show.
Yeah.
Sinatra was on that too.
Yeah.
Leonard Bernstein, but they cut him out.
Well, you subbed for the Philharmonic at different
Yeah, I
times.
played a couple, like they did a version of Follies, Sondheim shows, and Company, played on that. In the rhythm section with the Philharmonic, I got hired to play a few gigs in the rhythm section. And I played a couple of regular concerts with them too.
And who were the conductors? Who were the conductors that you remember?
Paul Gemignani did the show stuff.
Uh-huh.
And Alan,
Oh, the recent guy that
Yeah.
left? Yeah, the young guy?
yeah, he was there. And then I don't even remember the one.
Alan Gilbert?
Yeah, Alan Gilbert.
Yeah.
His father was a fiddle player I went to Juilliard with.
Oh.
And he had been concertmaster with Sikowski too, and then he got the Philharmonic job. And you cross paths with so many people.
Yeah. How can you remember it all?
You can't remember.
You have so much great memory though.
Yeah.
And,
So much memory, John. It's like,
oh, I remember a lot of stuff,
Astounding.
man.
what's the secret to that?
But I don't remember the years.
That doesn't matter though.
You try to figure it out.
You can sort of calculate it, but like, you have any secret to that? Like, how do you is there any tricks to keeping your memory straight? Like, I don't know. A lot of people lose
No,
it.
you get impressions. Like,
Yeah.
Like
association.
like when you play with people, you know how they play.
Yeah,
You know, you get an impression of their personality
Right.
through the way they play.
right.
And it's pretty interesting, you know, like I
Yeah.
really remember most of the drummers I played with, you know. Like
Yeah,
Cliff Lehman.
Great Cliff Lehman.
Maury Feld,
Yep.
Gus Johnson, Connie Kay,
yeah.
Chuck Flores.
and Chuck, yeah.
You said Mousy Alexander.
Ronnie Zito, Mousy,
Ronnie Zito, he's still out there on Broadway now.
yeah, he's doing Chicago.
Yeah, he's been doing it since the beginning.
Yeah,
What's Mousy's real name? I can't stand it when they give him stupid names like Mousy. He had a real name. I don't know what it was. It was something else.
I don't know.
But he was a magnificent drummer.
He's Armenian,
Oh, the Armenian?
yeah.
So his name probably wasn't Alexander either. Probably something
I
else.
don't know, maybe I'm wrong.
Elliot Lawrence wasn't Elliot Lawrence. He had another name.
Yeah,
I think
probably.
he was a
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, some of the B.
Boza,
Yeah, something, yeah, like that, with the vowel at the end.
Boza, yeah.
Yeah. What were you gonna say, John?
That's it.
I was gonna say most Armenians, the last three letters of their name is IAN.
Aha.
I found that out.
Like Eric Rogozin.
Yeah,
Yeah, quite a few Armenians that I've met there, it's almost always an IAN or YAN or something like that. Like,
John Yelenishin.
yeah,
was
that's
a
usually a
drummer.
giveaway.
He was a drummer that
Yeah.
that taught me the beats, you know, and.
For Armenian music?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, not Armenian, but Greek music.
Greek
and,
music, right.
Oriental, you know, Near
Get into
Eastern.
other bangers.
Right.
Yeah, I got mixed up with a bunch of those guys for a while. Made a couple records.
Yeah.
Did you ever play with Chuck Wayne?
Once.
I mean, he was Russian. He was in a Bailaka band.
Oh yeah.
He got tired of it, threw it in a furnace, you know. He got
Yeah.
tired of the Bailaka.
I like Chuck Wayne a lot and listened to some records that he was on. He had Ronnie Benford was on this one record that I had.
Oh yeah. I
were
remember
talking
him
about him.
with George Shearing. Of course.
Okay,
You know,
yeah.
that's what I listened
Yeah.
to a lot of George Shearing records when I was a kid, and you know, in fact, there was a couple published books I tried to analyze
Yeah.
on piano, you know, on
Right.
keyboard. So
That was John Levy, I guess, in the original.
yeah, John Levy, yeah.
Became a manager, I
Right,
guess.
that's right. And the vibes play Marjorie Hines.
Marjorie Hines, yeah.
And Denzel Best.
Wow.
Denzel.
I know
Yeah.
that guy's name and his tunes he wrote too.
Yeah,
And Denzel.
He wrote Move, right?
Yeah.
Denzel Best, he was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I played with him once with Ben Webster,
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Dave Fishburne.
Wow.
So that was before Ben Webster moved to Europe.
I don't know.
You're talking about early 60s, probably.
Yeah. I don't know. Dave Fishburne got me on the gig. We were
Yeah.
playing at the Teresa Hotel in Harlem. For
Yeah.
some guy that just got out of jail.
A party for him?
Yeah.
That's nice.
And I got to play with Kenny Durham once.
Wow.
With Dave.
Yeah.
And, you know, Mingus' drummer, you know.
Danny Richmond.
Danny Richmond was
Right.
playing.
He was a
drums.
tenor player, too.
He was? Oh,
Yeah. Horace Silver was a
We
tenor.
played the
Horace
slow-
Silver played tenor.
Yeah, right.
Till Sonny Stitt discouraged him.
Oh, yeah.
And,
I
and
remember reading something on Horace Silver's talking about practicing tenor in a stairwell,
oh, really?
you know, because of the sound.
Yeah.
Wow. So
Funny the things you remember, you know.
Yeah.
he was a big Jimmy Lunsford addict, and he said so in his autobiography. But he didn't mention Joe Smith. So I'm kind of surprised about that, the tenor player. In any event, so a lot of these gigs are swelling up and increasing. When you mentioned Gilbert, the Philharmonic, that's very recent when you played with him. That's not too long ago. And now here is Cynthia.
Hey, there's Cindy.
Yeah,
There we are.
Cynthia, you want to come in and wave right here?
That's
Just
the
get
camera.
right in the
Just
middle
wanna say hello.
and wave. Just
Hey,
just wave a
Cindy.
little bit. If you, yeah, Cynthia,
Okay.
Mrs. Beal.
That's enough for me.
All right.
You come
Just wanted
now?
to say hello. I just wanted to see how you guys were doing.
All right.
We're talking away, free associate.
Yeah, we're jumping around.
Yeah.
Okay, if you leave anything out, you can ask me.
Okay.
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 Yeah, well, we wanted
She
to,
usually answers for me.
yeah.
Yes, I do want to talk.
Well, as the bass players say, don't worry, they say, don't fret, you know?
Okay.
Yeah, that's what Joe Puma said. I said, Joe, I got this electric bass, I got a fretless electric bass. He says, oh, no worries, huh?
That's right, no fretting. So have you done a lot of electric gigs?
Yeah, I did a lot.
Huh?
A lot. You know, when the Beatles hit, you had to,
Yeah.
if you want to keep working. I was doing club dates at the time, weddings, bar mitzvahs,
Right.
you know.
Uh-huh.
They wanted to see that electric bass.
Yeah, and play those kind of tunes.
Yeah, well,
They
yeah,
go along with that.
yeah.
Yeah.
And at the time, I devised a pickup for the acoustic bass. I made a magnetic pickup because in my naive understanding, I thought that the amplification was the thing, but it wasn't. It was the look of the thing, the look of the electric bass.
Yeah, they want to see you
Yeah,
like that.
So you get horizontal.
Like Paul McCartney, I guess.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well, what kind of pickup do you use on your upright? Some kind of Underwood or something
I don't
different?
use a pickup anymore, but I made a pickup out of Dan Electro lipstick pickup, you know, lipstick tube pickups.
It's a John Beal original. I've seen it.
Put four of them together,
On one on each
one
string.
under each string, and this guy Dan Armstrong wired it up for me, and I used that pickup for many, many years, you know, when they demanded pickups on live TV stuff.
Right.
And it sounds electric, but the nice thing about it is you're always in the tracks. They don't bury the bass,
Right.
because a lot of times when they mic the bass in a live situation, there's so much leakage that they
Just stick it up to the F
they have
holes.
to turn it down. You know?
They can't use it because it's like all mixed in with the other instruments.
Yeah.
They can't control it the way they
So
want it.
that's why they like pickups. They take it direct.
Yeah.
Right.
So they're
Control.
really recording the pickup, not the bass. You know?
Yeah, it's too bad. It's really too bad. And there was so much terrible sound in the certain periods, but I think it got better in recent years.
Well, they sort of learned how to mix.
They made better pickups.
If it was capable of mixing the mic with the pickup,
Yeah.
they would do it.
Right.
But in a live situation,
No, it doesn't work.
you get that pickup, it's deadly, man. You lose.
Well, you heard there's so many records that sound so terrible because of that.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to say who, but
Well,
we all know.
I could say, but I won't.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like, you got a great big band, great charts, and they got this really bad bass sound. And,
Wow.
and the drummers with the clear rubber heads,
Yeah.
you know, all that stuff.
I have a friend that calls it the poodle on linoleum sound.
Yeah.
The pickup.
Do you hear the claws of the dog on the kitchen floor?
Right.
Right.
And then, you know, then the old, back in the 30s and 40s, of course, it was often another direction. It wasn't properly recorded, you know, and you couldn't even, in many cases, transcribe the bass player's lines, you know.
Well,
Yeah.
They were masked, you know.
all of Duke Ellington's records, you can always hear the bass.
That's what I was going to say. Same
You can
thing.
always hear it, so
That's why, because he
I
put
think
the.
it's a fallacy about that.
Yeah, it could be done.
Could
It was
be
done. It was proven to be done. If you listen to Blanton, you hear every note he's playing.
Yeah,
And that was in what, 41, 42?
Up to 41.
yeah.
Yeah, 40 and 41,
Yeah,
something like that, right?
39,
I have all of
41.
those, and I listen to them all the time. It's great. You can hear everything he's doing, and the band sounds great.
Yeah,
Can't be beat
yeah. I
for
mean,
sound. It's for music.
Engineering is,
Yeah.
you know, there's a reason Rudy Van Gelder had the best jazz records.
Did you ever go out to Inglewood,
Yeah,
to his studio out there?
yeah. Yeah, I was out there with a guy named Bob Hammer, piano player, and Clark Terry was on that date.
Wow.
Maurice Mark was playing drums, and I never did hear the results of that record,
Wow.
but Clark did a mumbles.
Uh-huh.
His scat vocal.
That's great.
Yeah. And Rudy wore white gloves, you know,
What's that about?
for setting up.
Oh, you said like it's smudging anything?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
and don't mess with his microphones.
Right.
So we've talked about the live recording with famous pop singers, and then we talked about some jingle things. About when did the jingle thing kind of like start for you, and when did it kind of end? Because it ended for everybody, you know, for the most part. As far as, you know, performing, you know, now it's just producers with electronics.
A lot of jingles for me happened because I could read music on electric bass, you know.
Yeah.
And that was a big necessary thing, you know, because you have 1 hour to do a commercial and you gotta edit it and time it out so it hits the right spots in the film, and so they'll make changes, and you gotta be able to do all that technical stuff, and also play the right notes, you know.
And when did
Read music
when did that start for you? About what era was
Well,
that?
around the mid-60s.
'60s. And how long did that last?
Quite a while.
To the '80s, '90s?
And then, but I was lucky to evolve into string sections.
Yeah.
You know, in other words, you start out in rhythm sections, and you know the story. Bill Lavorgna, the drummer for Liza Minnelli and Judy Garland, he used to
You want to
say.
spell his name, please?
Bill Lavorgna.
Livornia?
Lavorgna, yeah. He would say, you know, they used to say, get me Bill Lavorgna, then get me somebody that sounds like Bill Lavorgna. Then they'd say, who's Bill Lavorgna? You know, it's rhythm sections, attrition, you know.
Yeah.
They use them up, go to the latest guys.
Yeah.
But string sections,
Stay in
you
there.
stay there.
Yeah.
You know, so I was lucky to evolve into that field, you know.
Yeah.
So I worked consistently for many years.
Well, when was the first Broadway show that you regularly were a part? Not subbing, but what was the first show that you were in?
Well, I didn't take a show because I didn't want to get incarcerated in the show. And
Right.
At first, when I first started subbing, it was up to the contractor and the conductor whether you could take off.
Right.
You know, as a regular member. So it wasn't until they changed the contract so you had 50% quota that you had to be there. Then it was worthwhile to take a show because you were not,
Could move around.
yeah, you could do
Some other
outside
gigs.
gigs, freelance gigs.
Yeah.
When did that come about?
I think around early 70s.
So that's when you started being.
Or late 70s.
That's when you became willing to do Broadway shows.
Right, yeah.
And what was the first thing you did?
I think Into the Woods, maybe, Sondheim show.
Wow.
Yeah.
But I used to sub in most of the Sondheim shows and add, you know, they'd add players to the recordings I played on the cast albums. And Paul Giuliani, I worked a lot with him. And then, you know,
Well, you got into Phantom in the very beginning, right?
yeah.
And there's only one bass part in that show, right?
Right. So I left Into the Woods to go to the Phantom. And then I was...
So that's what, about
11
80,
and
88, something like
Yeah,
that?
that started in '88. And then did that for 11 and a half years. And then Giuliani says, come on and do Kiss Me Kate revival, and I went to that. Then he started doing a lot of stuff at Roundabout Theater, which was nice because it was not ongoing, you know, it was like a subscription. And
Right.
you do like
Planned.
12 weeks.
This is like, that's it.
Yeah, or they extend
Package.
it and you do a lot of different shows.
And you did the same thing with encores. You've been doing encores up at City Center.
Yeah, I did that from the beginning.
So that's in the 90s, when that starts in the 90s, right?
I guess so.
Your early 90s or
It was,
something?
the first show was Fiorello,
Wow.
and they tons of different shows, you know, and they do a lot of recordings of those shows, cast albums, and
Well, and I guess one of the calling cards of encores is that for whatever run they're gonna do, if it's gonna be a weekend or a week, they're gonna do the original orchestrations.
Right,
And they're not, the thing with Broadway now, like the producers, after a certain amount of months of a show, they can start cutting down the orchestra.
yeah, they have a cut list.
But you
Yeah,
guys
like
at
the
Encore is doing the exact original,
Right.
and you guys are really seen.
Yeah, the
Everybody
orchestra's
sees you.
Orchestra's on stage.
Yeah, you're right there, and I've seen you many times.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh, my God.
yeah, many, many times enjoyed seeing you there.
So you saw me fake tuba there.
Well, we
That's
did,
too, but you didn't know that?
yeah, so we didn't talk about that. So when did you first play tuba?
In high school, I had to play sousaphone, and the music director made me play a solo in a school concert. I had to play Asleep in the Deep on the tuba.
Wow.
Anyhow,
So, when did you first own a tuba?
I never owned one.
Never owned one?
Yeah, I did own one, actually. I bought one because when I was working with Barbara Cook, they did one arrangement of Them Their Eyes, and Sam Palafian played it. It was on a Carnegie Hall concert, and then she wanted to do it in her club act, and so I was like pressured to play the tuba on that tune, and I ended up buying an E-flat tuba, which I never could read on in E-flat.
Right.
But it was a good sounding horn, but I ended up selling it. But
You were talking about you didn't want to do Chicago because Chicago is mostly tuba.
yeah,
The
about
show is mostly
80% tuba, I think,
Yeah,
and it would have been a tough thing to get sold.
but you were offered that thing,
Yeah, I was
and
actually.
Ronnie Zito took it and still has it.
Yeah, and we did it at Encores. That's what it was. Yeah, and then
I'm sorry, you did Chicago and Encores?
yeah.
Oh, I'm
Years
confused.
ago, and then it went to Broadway
They brought it back.
because of the Weissners. No, it went from Encores to
You mean that's where it started?
yeah, and then
Because I never thought of it as being, one of the old ones that they would have revived. It started there. You're saying started?
no, the original Broadway show of Chicago
Right.
was a bomb.
Oh, I see, just a brief
It
run.
didn't run. Bill Stanley played tuba on that. I remember that.
And then you guys revived it, and then it went back and stayed.
Yeah, then it went to Broadway. The
Yeah.
Weissers, a cheap show to run, so they put it on Broadway. It was ready to go, and all they had to do was change the star, and they've been doing it ever since.
Yeah.
Wow.
They get a new star, and it revives the whole thing.
Right.
I wasn't aware of that.
Oh,
But
yeah.
you guys had brought it back after the original run. You guys brought it back, yeah, okay. All right. So, anything you want to say about Barbara Cook, besides wanting you to bring a
Great
tuba to a gig?
Great person, and she did that number, Them Their Eyes,
Yeah.
and like in the middle of it, you pull out a kazoo and play Louis Armstrong
Wow.
type solo
Wow.
on a kazoo.
Wow.
It's like a bit,
Yeah. Entertainment.
So the manager one time he booked her on some corporate function out in Missouri or St. Louis or someplace, and he was worried about it because they never heard of Barbara Cook, but he booked her.
Yeah.
And he says, and he knew that number was really a good number.
Yeah.
It really went over.
Yeah.
And she said, "Can you bring the tuba?" I said, "Yeah, I'll bring the tuba if you'll carry it for me."
That's great.
So, did you ever travel with it because of that? Did you
No.
You didn't want to do it?
Major Holly told me he had a gig once in Bermuda, and the guy said, we're going to need the bass and the tuba. So he drags the bass and the tuba to Bermuda, and he gets there, and the guy said, "Oh, we won't be needing the tuba."
You're ready to kill somebody, right?
Yeah.
Carry all that stuff. That's awful.
And then if you're Vince Giordano, you're playing all three,
Yeah.
and you're doing it voluntarily because it's your thing.
Yeah, well,
It's his
yeah,
gig.
Vince.
He plays string bass, bass
Yeah.
sax, and tuba.
Yeah, and
sometimes on the same number.
aluminum base.
He has an
Yeah.
aluminum base.
Yeah, like Sprocket over used to have one.
Well, they had one at David Gage. I didn't realize that belonged to Sprocket.
I don't know if it was it. We're
They
talking
had
about
one
David.
belonged
We're
to
talking
David.
about a luthier or a bass. That's another topic. Bass
Right.
bass shops. But we're talking about David Gage, who used to be in Walker Street.
Right. He's
Now
moved
it's in
over to
Chambers. But
Chambers.
Sprocket is the nickname of one of the guys that works.
Yeah, I know Sprocket.
We know him.
Still works for David Gage.
I know him. He's a good guy.
He had like a Swiss band and he played that metal bass in that thing for a long time.
I understand he did some blues bands and rockabilly, and people have told me he's great. I've never heard him play, but he has a good reputation among the guys that work with him.
I just jammed with him on the wood bass.
Yeah.
That he was doing, but I mean that's another topic. You're talking about the Prescott and everything, and we all know that Coldstein's out in Long Island
Yeah.
were the ones who reconstructed Scott LaFaro's.
Yeah,
That's true.
that's a whole famous publicity that
Yeah, I guess it was the father that did it, and then the son's got the business now.
yeah,
But they still have the base there.
yeah. Well, he got it in 58th Street. He's got a shop on 58th Street now.
That's true. I played.
Oh, I didn't know that.
High-end, shiny bases,
Very expensive. Very
Yeah.
expensive. The most expensive I've seen. But anyway.
I didn't know that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So and you talked about in D.C. You saw Billy Taylor Sr.'s plywood base, and you said it was
Oh, yeah,
backwards.
yeah.
You said it was the wood
It
was
was a blonde plywood top and
plywood was on the top, which was
Okay.
backwards.
yeah, on a an old body.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just a
Oh, no.
budget repair, I guess.
I don't
A restoration
know.
of
I
some
didn't
kind?
get it. I didn't get it.
Yeah. Right.
And
So-
Jack
so-
Weaver.
That was the shop in
Yeah,
D.C.
Jack Weaver's shop. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Herman Weaver violin shop. That was his father, and then Jack took it over. Now his son, I don't know if he's still there, but his son took over.
And who was the?
We used to hang out in that shop.
Be a lot of bass players there,
Yeah. And
but you weren't doing the National Theater when you lived in D.C. That was only later
No, I never.
when you went down with Elliot
I
Lawrence
never did that. Oh yeah, Elliot, and then we did Kennedy Honors.
at the Kennedy
At
Center.
the Kennedy Center, yeah.
Right.
Played for a lot of acts.
So who was the go-to person before Gage came around in New York?
Well, Colstein.
Goldstein,
He
right?
had a shop on 6th Avenue.
Merchant was out there.
Traeger opened up a shop on 10th Street
He's the
in
one
the
that
village.
taught those guys, right?
Yeah, but he learned from Joe Silichek.
Right.
Joe Silichek lived in Hastings on the Hudson.
Okay.
And he taught school in the
Uh-huh.
system up there.
Yeah.
And he started doing bass repairs.
Yeah.
And he's very good.
Brian, you mentioned that, I'll just stick with the record, that John does a lot of bass repair too.
Oh, when did you start? When did you start doing that? And what got you into that?
I just got interested in how to do it by hanging around the repair guys, I do a lot of adjustments and stuff.
Quite a bit.
Do you have a lot of equipment for the repairs?
I've got a few tools, yeah,
Uh-huh.
power tools.
So-
You need a few things, like a rotary sander, bench press, band saw.
Right.
A few things. But I try not to get into too big, nothing too big.
Well, do you work on your own instruments?
Oh, yeah.
And mine.
Okay.
I had 3 basses. He did all the sound posts and did a neck set for me one time. He's kind of being modest. He does.
But I'm not.
Well, you open it up, work on the bass bar and
I'm not in
everything?
that business, man.
No.
Okay.
It's not a business.
Yeah, I didn't see a shingle outside when I came here.
Right. They asked me one time, he says, "Oh, you're gonna hang out a shingle?" No way.
Right. But it's true. He helped me a lot. With,
No, I try
The
to help
instruments that I
somebody, if somebody's hung
I
up,
only
I
got
try
2
to
now.
help
But
them.
yeah.
Like right away, like come right away.
There are a lot of emergency things that have to be
Yeah.
done.
Yeah.
A lot of people will come you know, with big pressing deadlines, big name people, and they'll get somebody out of
Yeah.
bed or whatever it takes, you know?
Yeah.
And some people are just maybe a little more demanding than others, you know, in regard to that. And you can, I'm not gonna mention names, but I've heard names mentioned, you know, down at Gates' shop, so-and-so, you know, needs to have this done. And then you heard the thing, what was it, Mraz left something over at Sweet Basil overnight, and you could see the bandstand sort of, you know, from the street.
Yeah.
And he left an expensive bass in there,
Yeah.
and it got stolen. And
They
somebody
broke
tried,
into Sweet Basil?
yeah, and somebody
Oh, wow.
tried to fence it to David Gage, and he said, "Sure, I'll give you $100 for that," or whatever the hell it was.
Right.
And
He gave it back to
and
George.
he was so relieved.
Right.
You know, he knew whose bass it was. You know,
Wow.
and Mraz,
Well,
oh yeah,
that's
great.
a,
you know,
that's a good favor he did for.
well, 100
the
or
guy,
whatever it was.
yeah.
I mean, the guy didn't know. Was trying to fence it for just whatever you can give me. You know,
Yeah, right.
kind
Wow.
of thing there.
Wow.
Went to the wrong guy. But, or the right guy.
Yeah, the right guy, and,
Yeah, yeah.
and the wrong guy did the wrong thing,
Yeah.
and the right guy corrected the wrong
John, who
thing.
was the guy that you said that you did kind of hang out with a lot and showed you about the sound post? What was his name? DeLeon?
Oh, Lou DeLeon.
And that's an important name.
Now, where's Lou DeLeon from?
His father had a music store in New Haven,
Okay.
and then Lou worked.
Oh
there.
wait, De Leon.
That's the name.
Okay.
Yeah, his father was Frank DeLeon. He made basses too, and Lou DeLeon he lived in Orange, Connecticut. He had a shop in his house, and he had worked in the Colt factory in the wartime.
The gun factory.
Yeah, as a machinist, and he had done furniture restoration,
Right.
and he was like old school kind of guy, you know,
Yeah.
Italian.
So he taught you some
artistic
things.
guy. And-
He taught you some things.
Oh, so much. Yeah.
Like in his shop, he said he'd
Yeah,
take
he
you
was
aside.
so generous, you know. With he'll give you tools. He gave me a thing that he invented for measuring the length of a sound post in a bass.
That's big.
It's,
It's really big because nobody else is doing that.
yeah, it's big.
It's a big deal.
He invented that device.
Yeah,
And,
it's a way to measure the correct length.
Inside, the top
Yeah,
to the
the
bottom,
the
it
slope.
measures the inside of the base.
Yeah.
So the sound post would be just the right length, not too short or too long.
And
It's kind of a very good concept. I've been,
And is it still
John-
being used by other people?
no,
just John.
Wow.
no, the other guy, most guys.
You have one here?
Yeah, I use it all the time. I've been using it for 20 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
And most guys,
Mr. De Leon had, did he patent it?
no, I don't think so.
He just used it and showed it to John and maybe, who knows, anybody else.
Yeah, I know one guy that has one.
Yeah,
The guy Volcan.
okay.
He's out in Indiana or
Okay.
someplace. But a bass player, you know.
Makes a difference in the situation with your sound post such that it's really correct and the bass is gonna sound as good as it can, really.
That's right.
Some people are just guessing.
You get the maximum out of it, but most guys, they'll do it by feel, which is essentially guessing, you know. And it'll be okay.
Some people do a pretty good job, but
to get the best results,
you gotta measure it.
if you measure it, you can really make the thing
Perfect.
produced.
Yeah.
So you have enough equipment here, I mean, to take the top off and everything?
Well, all you need for that is a knife.
Okay, you don't need any like tables or
Hot water.
anything for letting the thing
Well,
sit?
yeah,
and
you
all
got a
that?
bench, you know.
You got a big bench for that.
You take the top off, you gotta be careful, but to glue it back on, you gotta have a lot of clamps.
Right.
And you gotta have a glue pot, you know. and
John makes his own clamps.
the right glue, and you know, you take each problem as it comes and figure out how to solve it. That's one thing Lou DeLeon taught me, is how to think about it. You know, it's like Bob
Yes.
Zvinsky.
Yes.
He analyzes everything before he starts working.
He thinks about it a lot.
Yeah,
He takes his time.
He's been thinking about it since September. I haven't paid
Oh, your base
Yeah.
is up there since last September?
Yeah.
Oh, boy. Well, You can't,
No, but
you can't hurry it.
No, but it's
gonna come out great.
it's a restoration of the original varnish,
Right.
you know?
It's gonna, he's the guy to go to. He was a
Yeah.
student of the same guy,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Wow.
But Lou passed away last year at age 100.
Oh, wow, I didn't know.
And you stayed out in Connecticut?
Yeah,
I didn't know he died.
So he was in New Haven?
in Orange.
Oh, in Orange.
Connecticut. But he was really, old school craftsman, He could make anything. He had a machine called a Bridgeport that he could reproduce any parts for a car or anything.
Right. Wow.
So, another question about equipment, now that we're talking about that, you saw the evolution to metal strings, right? You were playing all gut
That's right.
As a kid, you were playing all gut.
That's right.
And your fingerboard, I guess when you got, you're ebony, when you got onto the wood base, it's an ebony fingerboard.
Yeah.
And your plywood was not. It was not ebony, right? Well, anyway, it's
At
gone.
the
You're not
time.
playing it anymore.
At
The
the
junior
time.
high school plywood is a thing of the past.
Yeah, K's all had rosewood fingerboards, but you could.
Well,
change-
you could get ebony on a
You
cake.
could change it.
You
Yeah.
can put one on there, but
I've got a
it didn't
K- I got a
didn't come
K
with
with
that.
ebony.
They didn't make them that way.
Okay, so somebody put it on, and by the way, I do not play the bass.
Yeah.
But anyway, so in any event, you were there, and I guess was it the classical people that first went to the metal? What's the story on
I
that?
think so, yeah. Everybody seemed to change around that time, Ben.
And when around that time was when?
58,
58 or so?
59. I remember
A
Oren,
similar thing for drumheads.
Oren had a story about when they did this quartet that Gunther Schuller wrote.
Okay?
Fred Zimmerman, Bob Gladstone, Alvin Brem, and Orrin O'Brien.
Yeah.
And they rehearsed it, and she was still playing gut, and the other guys had to switch to steel. And they leaned on her to switch to steel at the last minute before they recorded this piece.
She wasn't used to it.
Yeah, and but it makes it easier to play certain things.
I guess the intonation is more tightly controlled, more consistent, more stable.
Well, that's a whole topic there. I mean, what do you think? You gotta tune them. You gotta tune up when you play music. I mean, it's a little
Yeah.
easier to keep, they don't go out of tune as much, but you still gotta use your ears. So, I mean,
the note is still in the same spot. The thing about gut strings, they're a little more sensitive to climate, the humidity.
like a day like yesterday was rough for me.
Yeah.
I got beat up
I
yesterday.
mean, they change. Yeah.
Well, what do you like? What do you like for Arco? What are some of the differences between the Arco on the metal and the gut?
It's a lot easier to play arco on steel strings, but it doesn't necessarily sound better, to me, in my ear. And as far as walking the bass and playing jazz, forget it.
Yeah, gut seems to
Can't beat it.
Yeah,
bring out the
pizzicato. Yeah,
gut seems to bring out the individual personality of the instrument,
And the player.
and the steel tends to make them more similar, like
lose the individuality of the player.
of the instrument.
And the bass.
Of the
Yeah.
instrument. Yeah,
Sure.
now, gut, you can play gut perfectly in tune. I mean, the pitch is really in your head, I mean.
Yeah, I didn't mean to question the ability of the individual player to control
No,
the
it's-
intonation. I just meant that when the weather changes,
Or when it's
changes.
cold outside or when it's hot and humid, it's gonna be a different story. You gotta be tuning.
Yeah,
But
gotta
like,
keep at it.
that's kind of like being a musician. Every other musician, you see a tuba player, they got that slide.
Yeah,
They're tuning all the time.
Yeah.
Same with and every instrument except for the piano.
Some guys leave a tuner on their instrument,
I do.
I
I don't
mean,
use it when I'm playing, but I use it in
Yeah,
between
but I mean,
tunes.
brass players.
Oh, brass players too, right?
Trombone players.
Yeah.
I see them do that,
Yeah.
But the thing is, you adjust your pitch to what's going on at
Around
the
you.
time.
Yeah.
You have to,
That's right.
like, notes are not, they're not buttons that you press,
Right, right. That's exactly right.
so with that, I mean, we're certainly moving around a lot, but we're certainly doing bass talk, aren't we?
Well, we should.
Yeah, I mean, that's why you guys are here. You know, we're not talking about the 1965 season of the Yankees, we don't need to talk about that.
Okay, Frank.
Yeah, so, speaking about these results, I mean, the early stuff we heard with Chambers, that was still gut, right?
Oh,
His
yeah.
Arco on gut,
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
kinda had a rough sound.
Well, yeah, because it's close mic.
Yeah, okay.
You know, I mean, if you, I'll tell you something. I played a concert 2 weeks ago and at a rehearsal during the break, one of the bass players wanted to play my bass with gut strings. And I got a chance to hear it in the back of the hall.
What he was doing.
Yeah, and it just sounded beautiful, you know? No roughness. And this guy's a metal string player.
Right.
And he's
Using
not-
your bow or his bow?
No, his bow, but I
Right.
mean, he was thinking that it wasn't producing, you know, that the characteristics of that instrument projects. And when you're playing it, you don't hear it as well. So he didn't even realize what I was hearing.
The further you, I mean, bass notes, you get further away
They
as
carry
opposed to a clarinet. I mean, bass, you gotta really get far away to really.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, and Brian, I think I've heard it said that the gut strings sound better, better further away. They sound louder and stronger further away. The steel strings sound a little louder and closer to you. So
Right.
it's almost like an illusion that you have a bigger sound, but
Yeah.
it's like an illusion.
There's a lot to that,
You
you
know?
know?
I like when you hear like just music, I mean, recorded music, I mean, you know, if you're right next to somebody, you can hear a trumpet or clarinet, but then that car that's playing all this stuff loud with the windows open, you know, if you're like a block away, then you hear the bass notes
Right.
alone and not the rest of the stuff.
Well, Brian, I want to say one thing, which is that we were talking about Neil Minor, right? And he
Yeah.
made that film about Bill Crow. Bill Crow says the ideal sound is Blanton, Pettiford, and Chambers, right? Those guys are all playing gut strings.
Yeah.
And I agree with Bill Crow about that.
World aware.
Well,
No,
Chambers,
aware. There's others you can mention, but just take those
There's a
three.
lot of them.
There's quite a few you could mention,
I mean,
right?
Chambers lives to 69, he didn't never switch to metal,
No.
I never heard any recordings of him playing
No.
metal
and
strings.
Pettiford dies in
But-
60.
Pettiford only played guts.
But
Obviously
Sam Jones switched to steel.
Yeah.
And he didn't sound
It didn't do
as
him well. I didn't hear recordings of that, but maybe I did. I don't know.
And then I guess you're gonna get cases like as with the drums where people switch to the metal, and then they'll switch back, like you switch back. You
Yeah,
switch back
I had
again.
a hard time switching over. I had to go back and forth for a while. And
Yeah.
then I dug in, and so I'd give it a year, and I got used to it.
Now, to be clear.
But after that, you spend your life looking for the right string,
Right, right.
you know, that sounds like gut.
That's what he told me, and it's true. You're better off just playing the guts. And you gotta buy them, they're expensive, and they don't last.
Well, you maintain them, you know.
You gotta work on them, you gotta take care of them. And you gotta buy new ones now and then.
Now,
Like
let's
the
be,
metal ones will last 20, 25 years.
right,
You know, so that's another reason people like them, I guess.
Yeah.
They don't have
Oh,
to spend
yeah.
any money on them. You know?
right.
But I mean, Richard Davis turned me on to light gauge
Yeah.
strings. He was the first one that I ever knew that used a solo gauge
Right.
tune normal. You know, the
Light gauge guts,
light gauge metal strings.
light gauge metal.
Like Tomastic spiral
But
chords.
it's solo tuning, they're designed to be tuned up.
They're
for
made
solo
to
playing.
be tuned up a whole tone, but instead you just tune them normally,
Playing
and
regular.
there's less tension, and they're looser, you know,
Uh-huh.
and they're kind of gutty.
They sound a
but
little bit
they're really
better.
steel, you know.
Yeah. Greg August said that he got that from Homer Finch. He
Homer
got
got
that.
it from me. And
Ah, okay, all right.
And I got it from
Richard
Richard.
Davis. Okay, how do you like that? It goes around like that.
Yeah.
Richard Davis up there in Wisconsin, where they had the wheels came from, the bass wheels.
Okay.
That was for gurneys,
Oh, you're talking.
for like hospital gurneys.
Right.
Oh, you're talking about
Bass wheels.
Gaines wheel.
Yeah, I think they came from up where he got.
They use them on
yeah.
wheelchairs and gurneys and stuff like that?
I think it was hospital wheels, you know, for
No, it's a
gurney.
wheelchair wheel.
Wheelchair.
Oh, wheels,
right.
yeah,
Yeah.
use them on the bass.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but,
Yeah, right.
but the old wheels were, Fantoni had the hard rubber with the spring in
Yeah.
No air in the tires.
it, right, and it would rattle them.
That's gonna shake your bass up. a bit.
Yeah, I know someone who had the block knocked, you know, that vibrated the glue loose.
Yeah, I'm sure it would.
And they have it re-glued.
Yeah,
But
it's a big job.
the pneumatic wheels they absorb the bumps, you know.
Now, to be clear, some people, you know, when they want to go to gut, they're going to get 2 strings this gut, and the other ones are going to be wound. But you two guys, all the way gut.
No.
No? You're still using wound?
Wound.
2 wound?
No, he's
Round
saying
wound.
that
Explain
they're
it.
gut strings that are wrapped up, right? They're round wound like a piano wire.
So
Like
they
the
are,
little
they
bass
are
string
wound.
on a piano that's got a wrap on it, right? The low ones. Same
Uh-huh.
thing with gut string. You put a
That's-
wrap around it,
because-
and
On-
it rings a lot better down low
Okay,
Right.
but so
Because
that's on the 2 strings.
on the bottom two.
Yeah.
But a lot of people use a metal 2 strings on the bottom.
Yeah.
That's common. 2 metal strings and then 2 gut strings on the high strings. I don't like that. It just sounds like 2 different basses to
Yeah.
me. I like to have all 4 guts, but the bottom 2 should be wrapped with
Yeah,
a round
because
wrap.
if they're pure gut, they have to be so thick in relation, the gauge has to be thick, and thick gut is thuddier, pizzicato. They bow okay, but
But
the
that
winding,
yeah.
winding compensates for the thickness, and so you can have a thinner core gut with metal winding around it.
Just on those 2 strings.
Yeah,
Problem is that the winding comes undone at some point, and then you gotta get a new string.
or get it rewound.
Or find somebody who can do that. You know somebody like that?
Gamma does it,
We send it back to them?
$56.
That's a good price.
Only on their strings though.
Only their own type, their own strings, right?
So to teach the layperson here, you're saying you're using 2 wound.
I'm using 4 guts, but 2 of them are wound.
Yeah.
But
The
the
gut-
key
the
thing is
interior's-
it's a flat,
interior's
it's not a
gut.
flat wound, it's a round wound.
Okay.
That makes sense, like a piano wire.
Uh-huh.
Not like a guitar string that's flat wound, like a tape. It's like I could show you, I have my bass over there, but after we get done, I'll show you.
Okay. So, you were talking about, you know, great bass players and everything, and I don't know if we ever broached the topic of playing in fifths, tuning in fifths, but I mean, how does Red Mitchell get into the pantheon there? How do you judge his playing? It's very different than all the rest.
Right,
It's very different.
right.
So what do you say about it?
What's the guy in Toronto, the principal bass in Toronto, tunes his bass at fifths. And, in the symphony, you know. But you gotta finger it like a cello,
Right.
you know.
It's a little hard to play probably, but there must be some advantage to it, right?
Well,
Get the low notes,
for
you have a
one
C
thing,
on the bottom.
you got a low C.
Yeah.
A friend of mine, John Feeney, and he plays principal in St. Luke's Orchestra.
Yeah,
He tunes his 4th string to a low C
right.
and has to
A
transpose.
bunch of jumping around.
Yeah, he has to transpose. In other words, it's a minor third, a major third lower than the normal tuning.
It means the low notes is a lot more of this
So he
going
has
on.
to-
Like,
Yeah. But
I
he's-
did the same for
but
a
he's
while.
used to it. He's
I got the
used to it.
idea from that guy Kurt Moroki. He was
Does he
doing
do
that.
it?
He was at that time. This is 20 years ago.
Wow.
He could play the Mozart stuff really quick, with down to the C, and he was flying. That guy.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Well,
I got the idea from him. I did it with a B string
oh,
on the same bass I got over here,
oh.
and people thought I was out of my mind. And I did.
Well,
So-
certain things you can't play on an extension, you know.
Right.
That's why 5-string bass is handy in orchestra,
Right.
you know.
But as you pointed out in another conversation, the 5-string, there can be some issues with the arco.
With a 5-string.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's one more string you have to,
Reach around.
Navigate
you
around.
know, you have the curve is longer, you know, the bridge curve.
Yeah.
So German bow players, the leverage, you know, they have to, it's harder to reach down there, but people adjust to what it is, you know, you learn how to do it.
Well, it may not be in the category of dancers, but I'm sure bass players have a whole litany of issues on injuries, right, of the human body over the years. Now,
Yeah,
I dare say you paid your dues and you are 87 years young, right?
88 to be precise.
Oh, I was cutting you short. I was cutting you short there. I'm sorry.
All right.
Let's get it straight.
Yeah.
So you want to talk about tendonitis, you want to talk about carpal tunnel, anything you want to talk about, or just the injuries coming from carrying the bass, you know? What do you want to, anything
How
on the
about
topic?
From playing, you know, from playing
Yeah,
when I was doing the Phantom and working all day, and then go and play in a show at night, and it started catching up with me with, you know, symptoms of tendonitis or carpal tunnel, whatever.
Yeah.
And I started going to the Chinese doctor, Tuina. It's like the pre-acupuncture, 5,000-year-old
Right.
technique, and he cured me of that in a couple of months. You know.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
and it never came back.
Now, as far as carrying the bass, you're in your Broadway shows, you leave it there, right? You know,
Yeah,
you don't take it back and forth.
yeah, but I mean the wheel is no problem. You carry it.
Steps,
you
though.
wheel it. You wheel
It's
it.
got steps.
Yeah,
You gotta mention the steps.
steps.
It's hard on the knees and the back, and
Yeah,
you know, it's going through the subway turnstiles. I don't use the gate. I just lift the base up and go through the turnstiles. But
Uh-huh.
that's sort of
you
taxing.
gotta watch it with your back though. You know?
Exactly. And then the other thing you can get is tennis elbow. You know, that's
Which
not-
is a kind of tendonitis.
Yeah, I guess it's related to that. Yeah. But anyway,
So that's
The other
gonna be,
thing
that's
that
gonna be
makes
on your, that's gonna be on your fretting hand, I mean, on your pizzicato.
I don't know. That's where I got it. But people have other problems. And the other thing you got to figure is your calluses aren't in shape. You could have cuts on your hands.
Oh, yeah.
Blisters and cuts, and you'd be bleeding.
Right.
That hasn't happened to me in a long time, but I've seen it happen to very good bass players.
Well, you were telling me about seeing John after COVID,
Yeah.
and you went into, I guess, Arthur's, I don't know if it was,
Right after COVID, I saw you had a cut on your hand. Remember that?
Blisters?
Yeah, blister.
Yeah, you get blisters.
That's just no fun. But if you keep playing every day, it shouldn't happen.
I mean, no, those are the dues. You know,
That's what
when
he
you
said to
start
me.
playing, you're bound to get blisters until you build up a callus.
Yeah.
right,
But one thing you can do is put super glue on your, you know, crazy glue on
Right.
your skin, and it decreases the friction, and you won't blister as easily.
Yeah.
You know.
I know some bass players, you know, like when it comes to the winter, they get those little cracks that come in,
Or it dries out. You know.
Yeah.
That's right.
and they have to do something to
That's
prevent
right.
that from
Well,
happening.
Moisturize it.
That's what they
Yeah.
say. You can put on some lotion or something like that. You know.
Yeah.
That's what Rufus Reed used to say.
But when you get your calluses, I mean, you can work for the fire department, you could put out a fire by, you know, you put out a match,
Not
right?
recommended.
Isn't that the thing, you can put out a match,
Yeah.
if you've got proper calluses,
I guess so, but I don't think
Guitar
you have
player.
to do that. I mean, like
you don't wanna prove
You
it,
don't need to prove anything, but
yeah.
if you can play, like I haven't had a callus since I started with Homer. I haven't had a blister since I started with Homer. That was 2002. But I always practiced. Like during the pandemic, I practiced every day. You know, just to make sure that didn't happen to me. But I got other problems. You know, so
Well,
Yeah,
so, as I say, back problems from carrying it and all that,
yeah.
and if you really wanna be like Arnold Schwarzenegger, get yourself a flight case, you know, and lift that monster up. Somebody handed me that
Oh,
one in the
no.
subway once, they handed it across the turnstiles to me,
It's flight case.
and I didn't even know this guy, you know.
Wow.
Handed me his flight case, you knew I couldn't run with that.
Yeah.
You know.
Another problem is frozen shoulder. You know,
Right, that's-
the older you get. You
Okay,
know.
carpal tunnel? Not carpal tunnel, excuse me, no, rotator cuff.
Yeah, or bursitis, whatever. it
Yeah,
is.
bursitis, yeah.
And like, I ended up with it, and I went to some PT and got improvement. I'm still fighting it because I can't reach the extension. on
Very
the
lowest
bass.
notes.
Yeah, I'm getting so I can just reach the D flat now.
Right.
But you gotta work at it, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, it's,
Yeah, I mean, the Chinese doctor that I was checking out was saying that that's like the step worse than the tennis elbow. Like if you get tennis elbow, you don't take care of it, you're gonna get the frozen shoulder. You know what I mean? Like,
oh, yeah?
that's what this
It's
guy
gonna
was-
move from one to the other.
You can get one or the other, but
Well-
it's related to the meridians in your blah blah blah. I don't understand it all, but
Well, the rap I got was, he says, everything is connected.
that's right.
You know, everything is connected, like he's treating my carpal, whatever,
Yeah.
tendonitis by,
Give you
by,
a needle,
no, by the neck.
just touching your neck with a finger.
No, no, yeah, and,
We get into your spine.
and also hot shower,
Right,
sleep, supporting your head so there's no,
right. Crick in your neck, right?
no pressure on the muscles. So it
Right.
relaxes the muscles and increases the blood flow.
Right.
He says everything is connected, you know.
Yeah.
And
That's gotta be true.
Sounds like what a chiropractor
He
was
says-
saying, I guess it is.
It's related.
he says ancient Chinese medicine, 5,000 years old,
Yeah.
you know.
Something to it, I think. I
Dr.
believe
Ching
in it.
H. Ting,
Yeah. Is he in Chinatown somewhere?
he's gone.
Oh, he's
I
gone.
don't know where he went. I
Okay.
went over to look for him and there was like a bead factory. This cat,
Oh, well.
this cat would, he'd be treating you, he'd like nod out, you know, he'd be like doing this,
Yeah.
fall asleep. But he was
But it
booked, he
worked,
was
right?
always booked with dancers, everybody,
Right.
you know, he was
Right.
Especially dancers, yeah.
Totally booked.
Yeah.
And he cured everybody. Ronnie told me about him.
Right.
Ronnie Zito.
Right.
Pat Revelo. You know Pat Revelo?
Tell us about Pat.
Anyhow, he's a good piano player. And he had circulation problems, and the guy worked on him, helped him out.
Yeah.
So right now, you're still looking for your low note reach. You still
Yeah,
want.
but I use a 5-string, I converted one of my basses to 5-string
Oh, really?
orchestra, yeah. And
So you put
I
it
the fifth-
put it on for orchestra. You put it on the bottom.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I put the fifth tuner on the tailpiece, installed it on the tailpiece,
Uh huh.
and so reversed the A string, the middle string, and connected to the tailpiece tuner, and changed the nut.
It's another John Beal original.
And the bridge.
Wow.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, I think they've done it in Europe, you know,
Yeah.
because a lot of good old basses were never meant for 5 strings, but they use 5 strings in most European orchestras.
Right.
So the guys would convert them to 5 strings.
So you
Well,
look at the
wait.
bridge, it's got like more than 5 notches on it. It's got
Yeah.
the original 4 notches, plus
Well,
like,
I had mine like that, but now I just converted it to
Well,
4.
you said
okay,
you said Ratso Harris
yes.
brought his 6-string here. Now it was originally a 4-string bass
Yeah,
that he converted to a 6-string. So he had to get somebody to give him a new bridge,
well,
course.
yeah, the bridge.
Of course, and the nut too.
and everything else
And the
is
tuners.
Tuners and nuts.
It's a lot of
Yeah.
work. But I played Ratso's bass, I think the first jam session I played in New York. I had a
You
horrible
brought
time.
that to a jam session?
I had a horrible time on that night. Everybody thought I couldn't play it. I couldn't. But hey, I was trying to, it's like, you know, you're like trying to find it doesn't line up.
The strings are closer together.
It's hard to deal with.
And,
But
It's like
Ratso
goal
feels
line defense in football. Everything comes together
good. Yeah,
down there. It bangs
Yeah.
into itself.
yeah.
But it was a 4-string bass, right? That he converted.
I didn't know what it was.
You know a guy named George Kay?
No.
He's a bass player that he said he has like a sister bass of Ratso's bass, and it's a 4-string.
Yeah,
It's some kind of 4-string.
I heard Ratso recently over at Mesro. I enjoyed that. He
And he
doesn't
brought
sound
this-
like, he sounds pretty electric, but I still
Yeah.
think it's very
He brought the
original.
6-string out
Oh yeah.
because he won't bring it out for certain, you know.
He
for
had
some
it.
things.
Yeah.
yeah.
He's got some kind of stick thing or something
And then
for.
Boris Kozlov told me he saw Ratso one time put his chin on the bass and catch one note with his chin,
Oh,
Wow.
that's good.
and then play the couple notes over here. So he's really he's unique.
Whatever works, man.
Yeah, that's right.
And then there's some people like I think Lynn Seaton's talking about, you know, with the double and triple stops.
Yeah,
He can kind of like play stride piano on the bass, doom, triple, doom, double, doom, you know,
that's great.
bouncing between, you know, 2 and 4 on the,
Yeah,
on
just-
the multiple
But
stops.
just do it on piano, it'll be all right.
So I'm seeing a very tall upright, which looks to me like about a 52 or 53 inch upright over there.
Your piano?
Oh,
It's more than a 45, I can see
I
that.
don't know.
And you still keep up playing with it?
Listen, it's so out of tune, man.
Uh-huh.
Gotta tune it. I've been meaning to tune it if I can get the stuff off the top.
Oh, that's the easiest part. That's the easiest part.
No, you just gotta hire somebody to tune it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't want to get
Yeah,
lost
it's
in
just-
piano talk, but,
It's a Steinway,
oh, that's a Steinway.
yeah.
Well,
Should be
yeah, I mean,
good.
it's more than a 45, I can
You
see
know, we
that.
had one of the tenants that lived on the top floor. When they moved out, they left the piano.
Wow.
So now I
You
got
left the
it.
Steinway behind, huh?
Yeah.
It's incredible.
He
Guess
went
they-
back to England.
Had to leave in a big hurry? Oh, he had to go back to England?
Couldn't take it with him.
Guess
yeah.
not.
Well, you know, it's going to be like on the bass. If it hasn't been tuned in a long time, it's like an organic thing. It'll take a few tunings to make it hold. Just
Yeah.
like when you get new strings, they're going to droop
That's true, you
Taking
gotta.
a droop fall,
it's a
so you
big
might
deal.
take 2 or 3 tunings
Big deal
to
to
make
tune
it
it up.
hold.
Well, that's all right.
And the first thing, they'll tune it that day, and then when they're done that day, retune it at
Tune
the
it
end.
twice in one
Yeah,
day.
like twice, and then
Tune it
they'll
twice
come back, still earlier than normal. But anyway,
Yeah.
Well,
that's
a friend of
piano.
mine is studying piano, too. Art Bailey, you know him, piano player?
No.
Does.
Anyhow,
Tunes.
he's studying piano tuning.
Yeah.
He told me, you deep tune it, each string, and then, he says it's not that hard to do, but it takes doing,
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, a lot of choices to be
I
made.
got the hammer and the dampers, and I'll do it.
Oh, you're gonna do it yourself, you're saying?
Well, I'll start out.
One of these days.
Until I
Yeah.
Yeah, but the whole thing, it's a lot of choices. I don't want to get lost in piano talk.
Yeah.
It's beyond looking at meters.
Brian, check the calendar, see if you still got time on there.
It's still moving.
Still moving? Okay, very
Yeah.
good.
We have been, just so you know, we've been talking for 13 minutes. I just want to let you know, that's all we've been talking. We've got 13 minutes, no, I'm kidding. It's
13
an
minutes
hour,
left, maybe.
hour and 58 minutes right
Yeah,
now.
Okay.
So,
Let's do
Wow.
that. Let's do that.
do you want to talk about,
A lot of editing involved in this.
I'll edit it. Don't worry, I'm gonna edit it.
on the other hand, I'm hoping there's some bass players that said, don't touch that. I want to hear all of it.
I got that.
No, I don't know about that. I don't know about that.